Hello, my name is Tanya Weekly, and I am joining you from Peddlers Den. Today we're going to be exploring ways of making fast and easy cards using the Peddlers Den Making a Scene scenic stencils. Here's a couple of the cards that you could make using this technique. We're going to set this aside right now. We are going to be using the Peddlers Den coated two sides 100-pound semi-gloss cardstock, and we're going to start using our whimsical clouds and our snow stencil. So today we're going to be using our stipple brushes. When you use a stipple brush for this type of technique, you want the brushes with the long, flexible bristles. You'll also notice that there's a little bit of a curve here. They're not real blunt cut, and they're not compact tight. A lot of times if you use a stencil brush, which many times are labeled as stipple brushes, you get something entirely different and it simply doesn't work the same. So for this particular technique, this is a large enough brush that as we begin here, we're going to be putting more ink actually on the plastic stencil than we are the actual cardstock. So we're going to start by dabbing in some of our primrose pink along the edge of the stencil. And you can dab and you can swirl, depending on whether you like to see your dots or whether you like to see them smooth out a little bit. Because we're working on a coated cardstock, it actually will smooth out pretty good. And you can see you've got a pretty good snow line there. We're going to have a few banks going on here. So we're going to do the next one like this. And how much color you put down is such an artistic choice. Some people like a lot of color, some people like just a hint of color. Because this is a winter scene, you probably don't want bold color. When I developed this series of cards, I did it deliberately to look delicate. Okay? So there we have our snowbanks. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to grab my robin's egg blue. And if you know much about the color wheel, you know that when you combine red and when you combine blue, you get purple. So when you combine our primrose pink and our robin's egg blue, you do get a lavender cast. And I've chosen those colors on purpose because to me, winter colors are cool colors. And so the blues and the lavenders are very, very suitable. And like I said, you can swirl a little bit if you want. Some people like a little more of the dots to actually show. Some people like less dots to show. Such an artistic choice. Now, you never want to bang or stab your paper. I'm doing little dustings. I'm doing little taps. I'll do little swirls. But you don't want to stab your paper. The only thing that does is it shortens the life of your brushes. So there we have some fun snowdrifts. So I'm going to set this aside and we're going to go to our whimsical clouds. And for our whimsical clouds, we're still going to use our robin's egg blue. And I'm going to actually use a little more ink on this one, especially up here on the top, because it's going to kind of help to frame it. Now, I don't like all my clouds to look exactly the same, so sometimes I don't even use the entire stencil. Yeah, it's not quite dark enough on this end. Let's get a little more down here. Okay, that's better. And sometimes the camera that I use, sometimes the intensity of the colors gets washed out a little bit, which I'm not real happy with, but you know, what do you do? I think you can probably see things okay. I kind of want the clouds to be, I'm going to call it dancing across the sky. Let's see what that looks like. That's not bad. Maybe I'll bring one more cloud bank down here, and then we'll move on to the objects in our scene. All right, so now you've got some snowbanks and you've got clouds dancing across the sky, if you will. Now from here, you could do a card like this, and sometimes I play with corners and sometimes I don't. You could do a card like this, or you can do so many other things. You know, you've got a sky and you've got snowbanks. So what are we going to do with those? Well, let's see. I'm going to take a pine tree. And of course, things that are close to you appear larger than things that are farther away. So if you're going to put multiple trees, the ones that are closest to you or that are in the foreground should be larger, and the ones that are farther away should be smaller. And this will emphasize your perspective. So this is going to be our foreground tree. And we're going to put it right here. And you always want to press firmly. You want to give the ink a little bit of time to migrate from the stamp to the paper. You want to make sure that you put pressure on the entire stamp, but you don't want to rock and you don't want to push hard enough that you distort the image. And there you have it. Now, these pine trees are really a lot of fun because to get small pines far away, you just use the top portion. So I took a Post-it note and I traced my stencil on it and I cut it out. And I'm going to use this as a really super fast mask. I'm going to put that on here. And I'm going to drop a couple of small trees far away. Now, I don't want to accidentally get ink down here, so I'm going to cover that up as well. Okay, so we're going to ink this up. And we're going to put some littler trees back here. There's a smaller one. I'm going to re-ink this. And let's see if we can do one that's even a little smaller next to it. There we go. So what does that look like? That don't look too bad. I always like to put life in my scenes. And of course in the winter, there isn't a lot of life. but a lot of times you will see deer out foraging around. So we've got a pair of deer here that we're going to put in, and they're kind of big, so we're going to put them kind of in the foreground. Now, we don't want to smear these, and it's easy to smear bold objects. There we have it. I think maybe some bare branches would enhance this a little bit. So I'm going to reach back over here and I'm going to put this back on here. And I'm going to take this bare branch tree and I'm going to put some bare branches right here. And there you have that. Now you can add as much or as little as you want to your scenes. I think I want to put the word thankful on this one. Now see, I'm inking this up and I got a little bit of ink here. I don't want to accidentally get a big ink blob here. Okay. So now the question is, do I want thankful down here? Do I want thankful up here? I'm going to put it down here for now. And we have thankful. And this is the technique. You can add as much or as little as you want to it. You can see that this was a really fast and easy card. You can see that you could add more components if you want, or you can leave it as it is. Since we have a few more minutes, we're going to put a few more bare branches on here. Throw this over it so it doesn't get where I don't want it to go. And let's see, let's just do a little bit like right here. See what that looks like. Yeah, I'm not sure I like that. I think I might like that better. So this is Tanya Weekly. This is Fun with Scenic Stencils. This is our first video in this series. There will be more. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to shop, our website is www.peddlersden.com. And we will be having some special kits for this. Thank you so much. Goodbye now.